Hello. I'm supposed to be the voice of Jake. Yeah, I'm automated. That's because I don't want to act out all of the voices. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the first ever narration of TPOA. The Punishment of Adalard. Chapter 1, Jake. My life is anything but ordinary. I thought that it was, before I went chaotic, that is. I used to play a lot online. That's probably because I was the new kid at my new high school, John East High. Everyone made fun of me because I was Japanese. I moved to America just last year, to the small and yet dangerous town of Dunnington. Dunnington is known for being the best spot for seeing tall skyscrapers in the middle of all the crops, for the other towns around it were farming towns. But one day they decided to tear down these buildings because they planned to make bigger ones. But this task was never accomplished. And every day, the sky is always gray, even though it hardly ever rains in Dunnington. I remember the first day when I went to John East High. It was in the middle of the first semester.
"This is Jake Kurosawa,"
said Mr. Stevens in his gruff, hoarse voice.
"Be nice."
And he went to his chair, sat down, and coughed. I was standing there like the fool I was. Everyone laughed. They were mostly white, but there were a few Asians, but I didn't notice it at first. I thought what was weird is that all the girls sat on the boys' laps, sideways, with their legs around their waists. At my school, normally the girls and boys were separate, not that we hated each other, it's just that we had different interests.
"Hey boy."
A girl in a somewhat revealing black jumpsuit with messy blonde hair woke me up.
"Sit down, you look like a fool."
So I looked around and found this pretty girl in the back with green hair with glasses, not paying any attention and reading a book. I sat down next to her and she simply just said to me,
"Don't pay any attention to those."
And the next words that she said to me surprised me for her shy nature. And her cheeks turned a bright pink, and my face felt hot somehow. And every day when I got home from school, I went on the computer to play chaotic. We had many trading card games in Japan, like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, but they never really got my attention as much as chaotic has. But at first I thought that the Americans were just trying to copy the way of the Japanese so that more people will buy their product. But when I actually started to play it, it was really a lot of fun. I loved how they use many different creatures, elements, attacks, and Magaisi. I was fascinated. I soon looked on Wikipedia, and found out that it was originally a Danish trading card game. So my opinion of chaotic changed quickly. Once I found out that chaotic was a real place, I was depressed. Most of my friends, like Corinne, thought that it was a pleasure to escape reality and enjoy the good food, which I thought was pretty bad, actually, from the port court and watch people play matches. My grandma once said, "You cannot escape trouble, no matter how far you run." I always believed that, so unlike the other chaotic players who decide to escape reality, I always ported to Earth to have a normal life, and then ported to chaotic again every day. Last summer, Mitsa, the girl I met the first day, and I have been dating. I never told her about chaotic. I was too embarrassed. I was afraid that she would think that I am too old for that stuff. My mother thinks so. She said she would throw all of my chaotic cards away, but I hid them. Now they barely sell chaotic cards anywhere. I looked everywhere. There is only this little shop called Cathis Gifts and Cards. It's a cute, nice little white shop between all these huge gray, old, abandoned stores. I go there every day after school on my way home to see if Fire and Stone came out yet. But Kathy's granddaughter Stacy told me that there is no new news of it yet. I ported back to chaotic, and decided to go to Purim, a beautiful place like none I've ever seen. The wonderful bright Mipedian desert. I've never been to a desert before. The light show at Lake Canipa, but Corinne told me that's a bad thing. The giant Mount Pillar and the bright red lava pond were all part of my life, but it was unlike the ugly Great Donington. I decided to go to the Forest of Life and meet up with Corinne. She said she found this weird creature and I forgot what it was called. I ran through the many trees. They were a blur of green and brown. Uff. My side started to hurt. I think my hands were bleeding, but I looked at them and they were just covered in dirt, but they felt horrible. I looked back at the log I tripped on. It was pretty big, so I don't know how I couldn't have saw it, but then I got up and wiped away the dirt and looked for my scanner, for I knew that it fell out of my back pocket. I looked around, and found it partway under the same log that I tripped on, and found that I had scanned a card I've never seen before. I picked it up, and I couldn't believe it. I thought I was dreaming, so I rubbed my eyes. But it was still there. I was horrified.